era of the jazz, like a different jazz sort of style or different jazz era. So I did Louis Armstrong, Roy Eldridge. I think I did a Dizzy Gillespie maybe at the time, and swing trumpet player probably Harry. Well, I think Roy Eldridge might have been the swing trumpet player. So that meant that so that meant that Dizzy Gillespie was the bebop trumpet player, and then I moved on to, I think I did a Miles Davis solo, and then I did a Freddie Hubbard, and then the last one I did was one of him. Of course, he didn't want to hear his own solo. So, but actually, when I got to the lesson, he, um, I had prepared these solos, because actually my history teacher at the time was sort of giving us another lesson on the way, another sort of way to think about playing solo. So this was also kind of like a level up on the way that I thought about transcribing. And his thing was saying, like, the way that he thought about it. This is his name is Lawrence Schomburg. He's a jazz historian, and he basically had the concept of learn everything exactly how the recording goes. And for jazz musicians, always thinking about like how their sound is and like, their concept, like it when they transcribe, a lot of times they're really only thinking about the notes and maybe, just like kind of getting some ideas from another person and moving on. And so Lawrence Schoenberg was basically saying, he brought in solos to the jazz history class and made us learn them and play them in jazz history, which was crazy because it's not supposed to be a performing class. But so he would bring in a Louis Armstrong, and so basically, long story short, by the time Wynton asked me to do this for him, I had already been doing like these things where I was like learning verbatim, like literally, like articulations, vibrato, like, and like literally you're just like mimicking as much as possible the person that you're transcribing, as opposed to trying to do it your own way. Um so I get into the lesson, and I had all this prepared, all the way up to his solo, the five trumpet players or something like that, five or six. And he sat me down. He was just like, okay, let me see Louis Armstrong solo. And so I pulled it out and I got my horn ready, and he's like, okay, now tell me about this, like talk to me about this solo. And I'm like, talk to you? Like, wait, what do you mean? It's like it's a Louis Armstrong solo. I don't. He's like, no. He's like, if you're just like, hanging out with some cats, your friends, you're just sitting on, like, at the time he was like, if you're just sitting on the stoop, with your friends. I'm like, I don't have many stoops that I sit on, but yeah, he's just sitting on the stoop with your friends, like, what are you gonna say about Louis Armstrong, like this solo? And so he started giving like some examples about like, just like, yeah, at this time such and such does this, and then like it does this high thing, and then blah blah. Like basically, he like narrates half of the solo that I transcribed. And his thing for me, and the thing that I got from those lessons early on, was that it's one thing to be able to play, and there's another thing to be able to articulate what you're playing. And this is like, and my dad is on right now, and he used to always say this when we watched different documentaries and things like that, back in the day. And Wynton was always very highly, like, just like he was always the person that people wanted to be on these like jazz documentaries and things like that, because of his way of being able to present music and like to talk about it and to really break it down, and to, not saying that there weren't several other people that could do this, but that was one of the things that he learned early on, and that was one of the things that he imparted to me. Now, I was at that time at 18, I was not really that great at like wanting to speak in front of people or speak, a lot in general, unless it was just like close friends or, just very insular, um, that kind of thing. As far, and so he just kind of got it out of me. It's just like, you got to be able to articulate, like, what did he do here, Like, how did this make, what phrases did he play that was the same as here? And he literally made me go through each transcription and talk through the transcription, like talk about it. And that those were the moments that really helped me to be able to do the things that I've been doing as far as like teaching, mentoring, like to really dive into detail about the music that I play, as opposed to just like picking up the horn, because I can also pick up my horn and also do it, but it was like a more of a challenge for me to be able to articulate it. And so at that point it was just like, anytime I'm leading a big band or whoever, like, all 5 years that I was in North Carolina, I never brought my instrument down to the rehearsal room. Like, I was just like, if there's something I want them to do, like, I know I can get to it really fast on my horn, but like, if there's something I want them to do, I need to be able to just find a way to articulate it to them, so they get it. Um, and so that's part of what I meant about like the level sort of rising. It kind of just went to a different level of like, that kind of thing. It's just like, oh, okay, it's not just about understanding how to play it. It's also understanding how to get it out there, and to share it with people.